Chaparro, that she's a Canadian entrepreneur, audio and TV host, and also producer. Today, we're going to learn the 5 tips to help you send the right message: body language, facial expression, all that you need to know. Okay? But before this, leave here in the chat the city that you are right now, and if you already know Big View. I'll leave it with you, Nash. So the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Bruno. It's a great pleasure to be here with you. And I promise I'm going to make this as dynamic as possible because I know sometimes workshops can be a little bit too long. And the great thing about this workshop is that I'm going to give you the main things and you're going to walk away being able to practice them today. So this is going to be great. All right. So the first thing is my name is Nash Chaparro. I'm a radio and TV producer, like Bruno said. And throughout the years, I've done many interviews, and I've noticed that everyone is capable of communicating. However, not everyone has the right tools, and not everyone combines those tools to make the best out of it, to send the right message, and to create this engagement. Because it's very easy to speak, right? But when you're focusing on what message it is that I'm sending, that's when it comes a little bit harder and difficult. So today, I'm going to be focusing on the main 5 things that I get asked all the time. What do I do? How do I do it? So first of all, consistency with image and brand. Where do I put my hands? That's a big one for me. Everyone comes back asking when I'm interviewing them, where do I put my hands? How do I stand and all that? So we'll touch on that. And then don't memorize your script. I know this comes as a shock, but you'll understand later why. How do I prepare my message? I promise, this is the one thing you should write down. How do I prepare my message? And then practice your script, your diction, and volume. So it all sounds fun. But let's start by asking ourselves, why is it that we follow the channels that we currently follow? What is it that makes you stay there or even start following these videos? And if you pay attention, I'm sure it's a combination of maybe the person that you're looking at. So it could be the way they express the topic, combination of colors, the music background. It's not only one thing, right? It's the whole piece that comes together that attract our attention, fully attract attention, right? Not only for 5 seconds, but so much that we decide to follow them and consume all their content. So how do we get there, right? Because everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to have a million followers. And if for some reason you're watching this because you're a public speaker, well, I know that you want to create that engagement. So first of all, get to know your public, get your audience. Who is it that you're talking to? Who is it that you're sending this message to? Right? Once you understand if it's a group of lawyers, for example, once you understand if it's a group of lawyers, if it's a younger generation, if you're maybe focusing on homestay moms, once you understand, it's going to be easier to work around that. So for example, now that I mentioned lawyers, if you were speaking to a group of lawyers, right, you might want to dress more conservative. Or if you are speaking to a younger generation, maybe you think jeans would be a good idea, right? So understanding that, and then I mentioned a few things already, but clothing is a very powerful tool. It can help you a lot on sending your message, or it can really affect the message that you're sending. So you won't believe this, but your clothes can help you connect before you even open your mouth. Before you speaking, this could help you a lot. And this is why. Once you walk in, if you just think of when you meet people, when you walk in, before you even say, hi, my name is, before you even say that, you already picked up on how they're dressed, right? And this is not from a judgmental point of view. This is from the point of view that they're communicating something, that they're sending a message. So we're always, right? If it's your content through your videos, if it's your topic, whatever it is, maybe yourself, maybe you want to network. So what is it that you're selling when you're networking? Well, that you're interesting, right? That you're an interesting person. So we have a few seconds, very few seconds to make that or not. If for some reason, if we go to the if for some reason you are dressed completely opposite to what you're trying to sell, then people won't pick, they won't connect because they don't understand the message. So I do have a very long path of colors that I would be happy to share with you. And that has to do with how you look and what the message you want to send in terms of colors, right? So, for example, yellow is a very happy color. So, if your brand or if your company wants to sell joy, maybe they're talking about something that gives you joy, right? Could be, or whatever it is that you're selling, then it would be a great color to pick and dress maybe the day you're presenting, that you're talking about why chocolate gives you joy, right? Maybe that would be a perfect day to dress with something yellow. If you want that color palette, please send me an email. I would be more than happy to share it with you. Okay, and all this, right? We talked about, but we already talked about this whole package that we love about videos, and that's one of the reasons. That's the main reason we have these channels. That's called consistency. Consistency is a very interesting word, and it's very interesting when it comes to marketing, when it comes to selling or sending the right message, right? So what is it that we mean by consistency? So that everything fits together, that everything is in a package, in a bundle, carefully balanced, and it just fits. Imagine a puzzle, right? You're thinking about the color, about the logo, about the person who's representing the brand. Everything becomes one. So that's consistency. How do you want to be perceived, right? So you have to ask yourself, when you're thinking about how am I going to introduce myself in a video or in person, whatever it is that you're trying to do, what message do I want to send, and how do I want to perceive? Do I want to be perceived as a person of respect, right? So I might wear darker colors. So I might wear a blazer and a white shirt, maybe with a darker blazer on top. Or do I want to be perceived as a young person, right? So if I want to do that, then I might wear a t-shirt, maybe ripped jeans, right? But everything has to fit with the message that you're sending. And that's very important, because once you lose consistency, it's very difficult to bring people again to follow you or even to watch your videos. Think of yourself when you're scrolling down on your phone, right? And something makes you stop. If you play it for some reason and you notice that the first 2 or 3 seconds, because it's that quick, we don't notice it because it goes by so fast. But 2 or 3 seconds is enough to know, I don't like it. I'm just going to go, I'm just going to pass through. So you have a few seconds. Make sure that the message you send through your videos, it's always the same message. And I'm not going to get tired of repeat this throughout the workshop, but it's very, very important. What happens when you lose consistency? I already gave you a few examples, but I always think of David Beckham. And you have this picture here of him. And it's very interesting because he was hired a few years ago to run, it was a styling hair cream product. So he ran that campaign and everything was perfect. They had a few video ads already filmed, a few pictures of him, portraits all over, right? This was in the UK. And guess what? Halfway, he decides to cut his hair this short. So what happens? Well, the brand loses credibility, right? It's not consistent. People start doubting, does he really wear this cream, this styling cream, because he no longer has hair, right? So the company decides not to fire him, which is, it was a big mistake, because like I said, they lost credibility, right? And it's very difficult to gain that back. So what happens at the end? He stayed. He obviously, he was wearing his hair like this, so there's no promotion or advertising through him anymore, and the company ends up losing 40% of their sales. That's how much they were affected by this guy's decision not to be consistent, right? So this is a video, and I want to play it for you. This is a video, and it's just an example. It's in Spanish, but it's an example of once we decide that we want to focus on something or take certain route, then make sure that not only how you're dressed and not only the words you're using to speak or the message you're sending stays here, but the environment that you decide to film in, right? If you are talking about fitness, it wouldn't make any sense if you're in an office, right? Unless you're talking about fitness inside of an office, right? But fitness in general should be in a gym. So this video, this talks about business, finances, right? So how I'm dressed, and then we're talking about wellness, health, inspiration, and you can't listen to the music, but the music goes with this, right? Culture, so it's believable. All right, okay, and so to close this, and the tips that I would give you is make sure you have a very clear idea of the message that you constantly send, right? If it's we are happy and we love it, we're gonna help you sell whatever it is. We're gonna help you sell videos, right? And how do we do that? Well, that if it's easier if you write it down, your values and all that, because then you work around that. It's very, very easy if you do it that way. Dress comfortable, yes, of course, but make sure the style you pick goes with your brand. This makes me think, I'm sure you've watched videos, and I'm sure many of you follow people that talk about music, and depending on the type of music they are promoting, they're talking about, it's how they're dressed, right? So maybe the people that talk about punk rock, they'll be wearing black. It could be, right? It makes perfect sense, and you don't even question that because it makes sense. Everything fits together. Okay, if you plan to reuse your videos, I've seen this a lot. If you make videos that are they're called evergreen, so you can use them whenever. Make sure that you're not using patterns, that you wear neutrals. Just makes it easier. It doesn't look like, oh, she did it. She made this video. She filmed this video 10 years ago, and it's no longer right. Like it no longer looks nice. So make sure that that you pay attention to that. It's important. Okay, and then we're going to another one. So the second one, body language. Body language is so important. Oh my God. It's so important that you can ruin the message. You can lose credibility by how you are expressing yourself, how you're moving, and everything in your hands, everything in your posture, right? Let me see if I have a video because maybe it'll be easier to play this video. Um, Let me see. I'm gonna play this video. Director and producer Michael Bay. And see if you can just pay attention to the body language of this guy. This guy, he knows everything about the brand, but look at him. My job as a director. Look at his hands. I get to dream for a living. If you see when he's doing that, one of his thumbs is inside. So you can't see one of his thumbs. So he's holding himself. I create visual worlds that are so beyond everyone's normal life experiences. And Hollywood is a place. Look at him. You see how his elbows are always very close to his body, right? He
Hi, Nash.
opens.
Sorry
He
to
opens.
interrupt, but we are not seeing the video. I think that you're not
Oh,
sharing
you can't.
the screen of the video.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, let me see.
Okay, now we can see it.
Can you see it there, Bruno?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I was just saying that it's very interesting. Look at his hands. Pay attention on his hands. As a director, is I get to dream for a living. Michael. Right, and just the other guy, you can see that guy that's speaking, the guy that introduces him, you can see he has his feet apart, his posture is straight, right? And this guy, he always does closes and opens his hands. One of his thumbs is always inside. Okay, so now that you've seen a little bit of that, let me see if I can fast forward it. He put his hands behind him, and then the presenter, the main host, is saying, "Do you want to take a break?" Because he looks like he doesn't know what to do, right? So this is Samsung, and it seems like they didn't prepare him. They didn't prepare him for this presentation. So what happens? I'm sorry, I'm having something here. Okay. There we go. Okay, so what happens is that when you don't prepare, right? When you don't know where your flaws are, it's very difficult to to improvise or even to try to connect your body language with your words. So in this case, it's very important to understand that your posture needs to be open. I see this a lot. When you do this, it means that you don't want to be there. You don't want to be speaking. This guy in the video I just showed you, most of the time he was like this, very, this was closed. So this is sending the message, I don't want to be here. I don't care. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And then he started doing this, right? So it's holding, think about this. Every time you do this, if your thumbs are in or if one of them is in, it means that you are very nervous. So it reminds you, it connects us with when we were younger and we used to hold our mom's hand, right? So what does that say? Unconsciously, because most of these things that we do are unconscious, right? And most of these things, a lot of people not knowing consciously what they mean with words, they do send a message. You could see this guy struggling, right? He kept on doing this. His shoulders were very close to his body, so he wasn't open. He wasn't open for a conversation. So it's very important. Number one, your posture. Make sure that you're straight, that your shoulders are open, right? And then when you talk about your hands, a lot of people, when I interview them, they ask, where do I put my hands, Nash? Do I just cross my arms, or should I just open my hands, or do I put my hands like this? And I always say, just let them free. Let them free. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but once you allow your body to move as you're speaking, it makes more sense. It automatically connects. And I always do this presentation in Spanish, and I mentioned that for Hispanics or for Latin American people, it's very easy to speak with your hands most of the time. Just other people that struggle. But I would recommend, if you are focusing on where do I put my hands, practice, film yourself, put the camera in front of you, and look at yourself when you're speaking. Forget about your hands. Just start speaking and move your hands. See what you think. From there, you can start planning. Facial expression. Oh my God, facial expression. That's a big one. I love it. Facial expression. You wouldn't believe this, but it's 55% of our communication. 55% is focused on our facial expression. Can you believe? So be careful. There's a few things I want to recommend when it comes to this. Be aware of what you're doing when you're speaking, right? A lot of people recommend that when you are talking to the camera or talking to your audience, but focusing on the camera, you smile a lot. And this says that you are welcoming people to connect with you, that you're open, right? To connect. When you are doing this, that means that you're very serious, you're closed, you're not really open to any comments, right? But if you smile a lot, people tend to connect. People like happiness. They like to connect through smiles, right? So I'll recommend at the end, I'll give you some tips, but be sure that you don't cover your mouth. That's a never do, please, because you're saying, I'm hiding something, I'm lying about something, or I said a half truth, right? This or this happen a lot. And you can see this. There's a lot of tryouts. Like, remember the, how do you call this? Oh my God, I forgot. But remember this case of Johnny Depp and his ex. You could see a lot of the things that she was lying just with her facial expression, right? And when you do this, it means that you are surprised, that you are not so sure, right? If you think about your teachers, every time they would give you trouble, they would raise their eyebrows, right? So just be aware. Film yourself. Try to film yourself a lot before you start making videos, and understand this, my facial expression and my hand language, they connect with my message. That do they really do something? And when it comes to hands, I forgot to give you this very interesting fact. But when it comes to hands, there's a lot of TED talkers that go viral, and those people that go viral on TED talks is because they're using 465 um, different, not they're not always different, but expressions with hands, right? And people go viral. It's very interesting because they are in less than 200. They use less than 200 expressions with their hands. So just to um, give it a thought there. Okay, and then negative body language. I already gave you the hand. Never put your hands on your mouth or close to your ear, because that's saying that you're lying or that you're saying something halfway, right? And then what other thing you can do? Please don't do this. What this guy was doing, right? Don't do this. What does this say? This says that you are very nervous, that you don't know what you're talking about, or hiding your arms, right? That means you're nervous, that you're trying to hold on to your mom, that type of nervous. And I'm not mocking anyone or making fun of anyone, but I'm just saying that it's so important because this translates into the message that you're sending. If you feel you're not ready to create videos or to go on a stage, sure, you practice. That's a big part of it. Another negative body language that I would like to, we watch that video, that I would like to share with you is your eye, your look. Where are you looking at? Right? There's a lot of people, I'm sure you know of a few people that don't feel comfortable with the topic they're explaining. So what they do is they start looking away. Right? It doesn't matter if even if it's person on person, right? That you're talking to someone and you're asking, hey, so what about this? What about the pizza that you're selling? Right? And maybe they didn't even make the pizza. So they're nervous. So what do? They start looking down or looking around. They don't want to look at you because they can't lie, right? So when it comes to a camera, it's exactly the same. Try to look at the camera most of the time. I know sometimes you're going to look around, or maybe you have your notes around you and it's fine, right? Or you want to refresh your eyes. Sometimes we have the light in front of us. So we want to refresh our eyes, and it's fine to look away. But when you are talking or giving tips, then make sure that you're looking at the camera, right? Okay, so stand up straight. Don't exaggerate your gestures, like we said. Don't do this a lot. So there's a lot of people that think, oh, but I have to exaggerate because I'm on the camera and the camera kind of washes out our expressions. Yeah, but a tiny bit. Not these cameras that we have nowadays. No, they don't really do that. So don't exaggerate. Look at the camera, like I said, and practice, practice, practice. That will help you a lot. Okay, and
Hi,
then,
Nash. Sorry to
yes.
interrupt again. I think that we're using the slide on full screen. We cannot see it then moving. Okay, now we can see it.
Oh, all
Now we
right.
can see the
Okay.
new slide.
So we'll just use
And
it like
also, we
this.
have a question if you want to
Sure.
answer right now.
Of
It's a
course.
question from Pixvisio. So it's okay to show your hands on camera, right? This is the question.
Yes. Yes, you can show your hands when you're on camera. It's actually, like I said, that will make your audience engage even more. But of course, you can't cover your face, right? Like if you're doing this, well, it makes no sense. But if you're a little bit further away and if you're using your hands, that's going to make people connect with you. So there's certain symbols you can use. For example, there's a very famous singer, right? And he always does this, right? And this is his brand. So every time he has a video, he does this. And I've watched a lot of his videos because I was amazed that he always does this. And I watch a lot of his videos, and a lot of his followers take pictures like this. So there's a relationship, non-verbal relationship going on between them. And he's thanks to that, he's created a lot of real connection. They even have little kids doing this on the pictures. Imagine that. That's great branding. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to move to the other topic. So it's understanding the topic. A lot of things that I've noticed when I interview people is that they try to memorize what they're saying. They don't really understand the topic, but they try to memorize it. And what happens when you do this? Well, the topic is not clear. And if it's not clear to you, believe me, it won't be clear to your audience, right? You won't get the message through. It's very confusing for the audience. It's very, we get nervous as an audience when you don't understand your topic, right? So it needs to be clear. You need to understand it, consume the content, understand the content, don't memorize it, try to study it in different ways, right? So there's a lot of people that are very visual. I love looking at pictures and videos, right? That's one of the ways that I study. I know it's crazy, but that helps me. Another way of studying could be through writing, right? Maybe making these presentations or slideshows. That kind of forces you to study. But like I said, do not memorize it. And we'll move ahead and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Why isn't it a good idea to study? Okay, so to close this section, remember that you need to stand up straight. Oh no, I'm sorry. We're moving to the next one. You see, this is what happens. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this so that way I don't get behind, right, or ahead. Okay, so when it comes to preparing your script or preparing your topic in general, remember that you really need to prepare it. Don't trust that, oh, I know this by heart. Oh, I could explain this with my eyes closed. Yeah, not really. Right? The fact that you understand a topic or that you've mastered a topic doesn't mean that you'll be able to explain it to your audience. Right? So make sure you at least make a run through it twice at least, right? And then a lot of the times we have done a certain presentation, like for example the presentation that I'm doing today, right? And I don't trust that that's going to be good enough for my presentation tomorrow. I always go back and look for more information or updated information, right? And that's very important. There's a lot of people that continuously say the same message, but they never add anything new. So if you don't add something new, right, you're missing the opportunity of people that are already following you. Do you see what I'm saying? Oh, I already know what Nash is talking about. So, I'm just going to ignore that because she always says the same thing. She never adds new things to her presentation. So, might as well just, ignore that. Right? We don't want that to happen. If you already have a group of audiences, try to give them something new so they keep on latching on, right? To your channels, to your platforms, whichever platform it is that you are using, and try to stay up to date with the information, like I said. Okay, so we're moving on to the second one. I think this is easier if okay, I'll just leave it there. Okay, so first of all, write a script. I'm going to show you how I write my scripts, right? I don't memorize anything. I normally do, when I'm filming, like in a busy season, I would do around 18 interviews, 18 to 20 different interviews in one day, right? It would be crazy to memorize it. I know a lot of you have brilliant memories and are able maybe to synthesize the information, to see it in your memory. I don't have that superpower and I can't memorize 20 different topics. So I'm sharing with you my secrets, right? Write a script. This is my script, for example, right? It's very simple. I don't I don't do a lot. There's like 6 pages here. Do I memorize it? No, I do not memorize it. I grab onto the main ideas, right? I find the main idea. So what is it that I'm talking about? Let's see. I'm talking about communication. Okay. So around communication, what are the main ideas that I want to pinpoint, right? And then you write the main ideas. Then you split it in sections and you highlight the most important items that you have, right? So for example, today I knew we were talking about communication, but to me communication, it's a very very large topics. So we have to focus on the main things, right? So, like I was saying, I do a lot of interviews. So, what do? I split them. I split all that, and I just remember. I write it down. I put it in my script, and I study it. I just have to understand it. and kind of highlight the main things. That's all I do. And then the conversation starts from there, right? Especially if you already know the topic, especially if you have studied the topic, then it's going to come in an easier way, right? Okay, so the tips, like I said, do not memorize a topic. Do not listen to me. Do not memorize a topic, because if you, for some reason, forget what you're saying, you won't have a space or chance to improvise, right? If you try to memorize it, and this happened to me, and I'll share this very quickly. I was invited to MC the 70th anniversary of United Nations here in my city, and thinking, oh, I want to look smart. I really want to look smart. I brought all these pages thinking that I would be able to read while I was in front of maybe 500 people. That wasn't possible. It wasn't. I had to keep on looking at my audience. This was around 8 years ago, maybe. I had to look at my audience, right? There were some words that I couldn't pronounce. It was very difficult. I asked someone to help me. He's a pro when it comes to writing, so he did it in such a perfect way that I couldn't pronounce those words. So you know what? I thought, done. I'm gonna ignore these things, and I threw them out, and I said, I'm just going to take it from here. I remember I studied the topic so I can improvise, right? And the bullet points really make a difference, like I'm doing right here with the tips. You can see it, right? Practice your speech. Like I said, we sometimes we are too confident that we know what we're talking about, and we do not practice. And there's a big mess when it comes to this. So please make sure that you practice, practice, practice. If you can film yourself, that would be easier. Don't take it too hard. Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves, but just film yourself and say, okay, you know what? I'm missing on this point. Oh, I don't have that idea very clear. So I'm going to study that idea, and then I'll talk about it. And then I'll do the video, the final video, right? Okay. And then we're coming to oh my God, I love this. We've been sharing on my social media. You can find me as Nash Productions. We've been sharing a few tips on what to do with diction, with tone and volume. And there's so many exercises. You just have to find the exercise that works for you, right? But diction is this is very important to understand. What do we mean by diction? It's not only about talking properly, speaking properly, using the right words, or making sentences kind of flow while you're speaking. It's not only about that. It's about connecting those sentences, right? Make sure that all those sentences do connect in a nice way. A lot of the times we are used to speaking to our friends, and they kind of know us, so they know what we mean by certain words or certain slangs that we use, right? But when you're presenting a topic, remember that a lot of the people that are watching your videos may be in a different part of the world, right? So you have to be very clear with how you're using those words, how you're pronouncing those words. Um, and and especially, right, when there's complicated words, make sure that you are slowing down, right? If for some reason you're speaking a language that it's not your mother tongue, then remember you might have to slow down so people understand what you're saying, right? But make sure that you're clear, that that you get to the point, and that you're concise. There's a lot of times that we listen to people speaking about, let's see, I'm going to give you an example about a phone, right? They speak about a phone. We all know what a phone is for and why can we use it and all that, right? But there's a lot of people that can talk about it in 1 hour and actually say three things. So that doesn't make sense. Make sure that whatever information you're providing, that it's concise. And nowadays, the videos are very short, right? We don't like long videos to get to know two new things, right? So be clear on that, and make sure you make a note when you're writing. I speak a lot. I am always talking, especially on radio. I just go on and on and on and on. But when it comes to sharing certain information, I make sure that it's very concise. And I'm trying to do that today. Hopefully, it's working. Okay. And then when it comes to speaking, to your tone, this is important because I know I always say that you have very little amount of time for people to understand what you're saying, or for people to fall in love with the content that you're creating, or to engage. And that's true. And it's going to become shorter and shorter because of the type of content that we're consuming and how fast the content goes, right? But when you're speaking, we have 10 seconds for people to notice our mood, right? So we talked about diction. Tone is that mood. So if I'm saying, "Hi, my name is Nash," and if I'm saying that, people will be like, "Okay, she's awkward," right? You can feel it. Okay, she's acting awkward. Or if I start giving this tone, "Hi, my name is Nash, and well, I'm here." Even if you don't see my face, you can hear that I'm annoyed or that I'm not happy, right? So you only have 10 seconds to give out the message through your tone. So, are you happy? Are you really excited? Or are you kind of serious because this topic we're talking about, right? Everything changes, but it's more the mood that you give uh, to your message that you're sending, right? And then the volume. Volume is very interesting because depending on the volume, I know, depending on the volume, people will engage or not. If your volume is too low, it's like I said, when it comes to marketing, we want to be able to understand what we're watching. We're not going to take the time to kind of say, what is it that she's saying? Let me work on my volume, right? It's not like that. Okay, I can't hear it. I don't understand it. I'm just going to swipe through, right? Like I'm not going to pay attention. I'm just going to go to the next one. So make sure you check that when you're doing when you're making videos, but also when you're speaking, right? And this can be fixed, I know, when it comes to afterwards in editing or all that. Yes, it can be fixed. But if you can do it at once, especially when you are used to doing lives, just get used to your volume, get used to that tone, and get used to the words that you normally use, right? That represent your brand or your company or the topic you normally want to talk about, right? And I'm going to give you a few exercises, and I really hope you enjoy them. So, to control your voice, to help your voice, I would recommend that you warm up. That you warm up before you start speaking, before you start filming. And there's a few things that you can do, right? There's a few things that you can do. First of all, if you have a pencil, I don't have a pencil here, but I do it with my hand a lot, with my finger. I do this and I start speaking, right? And that's a way to warm up your voice, warm up your diction, your voice, everything that you're doing. What else can you do? Well, that would be one. Another one that I do a lot, and people bother me because they say, "Oh, that doesn't really make sense." But I do something called helicopter, and it goes like this, and that kind of makes it, it kind of warms it up in a way that this is not so tense. So you do that a lot, maybe 3 times for 15 seconds. With the pencil, you can do it here between your teeth, or you can do it here, or you can just do it with your lips. It really depends how advanced you are. But I would recommend to get into a routine that you can practice every time that you're creating videos or that you're going to be speaking in front of people, because it does make it easier, especially when you're stressed. This will help you a lot. Avoid the use of fillers. I do that a lot and I'm practicing on it, but there's a lot of people that won't share their secrets. I'm going to share my main secret to avoid fillers. Fillers are the little noises or words that help you connect ideas, right? So we do a lot of noises when we're speaking. There's a lot of people that say like totally, like I like doing this, like when I was standing, like, or or I do that a lot, right? But how can we avoid those fillers? How can we get rid of them? There's a few different techniques. Like I said, not a lot of people share their secrets, but this is one of the secrets that have helped me a lot. And the more I go out and film at events, the more fillers I get used to. I don't know why, but that happens to me. Okay, so this is what you need to do. First of all, notice what are the fillers that you're using. If it's and, if it's if it's so, write it down. I always say write everything down because that really helps. And then try to, instead of using those words, use a 2 or 3 second silence. So if I'm talking about pizzas, I'm craving pizza today. I love pizza with maybe with pepperoni. Instead of doing that, do this. I love pizza with pepperoni. The more you do it, the more or the faster, the quicker you'll get used to it, and you'll start avoiding those fillers. It really helps when you're in public speaking. Okay, don't exaggerate your voice tone, right? There's a lot of videos, I'm sure, and it's fine. If that's your brand, go ahead. But if that's not your brand, then make sure you're not exaggerating. A lot of people that speak like this, and then you see these videos and they're like, oh my God, right? If that's part of your brand, if that's the intention of your voice, then go ahead, do it. But if for some reason that day you were too excited and you couldn't control it, so you were working with these tones, be aware of that, right? Be aware of that. Don't exaggerate it. Try not to change it, because people start getting used to your voice and they don't like changes. We don't like changes. When we see something's changing too much, it's like, okay, I don't think I was following the right person. I don't think, maybe there's something wrong, right? And if we see it consistently that it's changing, that we might start ignoring that channel. So be careful with that. Practice different volumes. So what volume works good for you? And a lot of people say, how do we control the volumes? Is it screaming? No, it has nothing to do with screaming. It has to do with a technique. If you want to make a point about something and you decide that that's the right moment to raise your voice, then I'm going to teach you how to raise your voice or how to control that volume, right? But it's more about volume. It's not about screaming. So this is something I learned many years ago. If you want to raise your volume, right, or just use a little bit more volume when you're speaking, think of your palate going upwards. So imagine that your voice is coming out from here, right? So I would say that I would like to speak a little bit, you see, when you are using or when you want to speak lower, or the lower volume, then you bring your palate down. Imagine that you're pressing on this and immediately your volume goes down. If this doesn't make much sense and you're like, okay, this is too complicated, I can't do it, then you can practice like this. You blow on your hand. If the air comes out cold, then you're doing the right practice on lifting your palate. So it would be like this. If you do this, it's gonna work better. If it's cold, it means that you're raising your palate. If it's warm or kind of not cold, that means that your palate is down, it's lower, so your volume won't be too high. I really hope this helps. It has helped me a lot when it comes to speaking. But I would say, remember, please always remember that your videos aren't a representation only of your brand or just a tool for you to work with. They need to be a whole experience of colors, of sounds, of different things. It doesn't matter if they only last 15 seconds. Make sure that you invest in it. And it doesn't have to be with money. You can invest with it just practicing with your voice or your hands or your posture. What is it that you want to share with the world? The message that you want to send? And of course, enjoy it. That makes a big difference. And I really hope that this helps. If you have any question, please let me know. You can contact me through my different platforms, social media, and all that. Okay, Bruno, what do you think about this?
Okay, that's great. We already have one question. Nash here.
Sure.
Pix Visio is asking, how many times should I practice? I think she's referring to the practice the script. How many times should you practice before doing the real video, the presentation?
It really varies on how comfortable you feel. I do it maybe 3 times. Remember that when you are working on your script, you are practicing already, right? Just fixing it, deleting this. Oh, it doesn't sound right, and you're writing. Even if you're writing with your hand, or if you're working on the computer, whatever way you decide it's better for you. I promise that helps. So that's already studying. After, if you can go through your script at least 2 times, then it'll make a difference.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good, Nash.
Yeah.
And
All
we don't
right.
have any other question, but I have one personal one. If
Sure.
someone should remember something from this workshop, would be the most valuable information that you think, okay, if you remember this, it will change your social media, it will change your life with body language or diction. I don't know. It's up to you. What do you think?
So I believe that just being aware of what you're doing with your hands and just trying to let go, right? Because I don't know if it happens to you, Bruno, but when we're very stressed, you can see it on the face, on your hands, and on your words. That's so obvious when we're stressed or when we're nervous. So I would say just relax. I think that's one of the most important things. Relax, enjoy the ride, and allow your body to connect with your words on its own. That's
Mhm.
it.
Okay, okay. We have one final question
Yeah.
from Burnett. She said, great insight about the face, touching the face, looking away. Is this really important to not look all the time to the camera, moving the eyes to sound natural? What do you think?
Okay, so like I said, you don't have to be stuck to the camera because that looks kind of creepy too. But when you are providing with very important information, you do have to look at the camera, and you can look away, right? Because you need to rest your eyes, and yes, you need to look natural. But if you're doing this too much, right, or well, you're not interacting with your audience. You need that interaction, right? And touching, especially when it comes to videos, touching your face is a please never do. Never, right? Because most of the time what we're more focused on is on people's face, right? So we don't want this. It doesn't look good. It sends the wrong message. So avoid that and try to look at the camera as much as possible. If you are on video with someone else, if you're having a conversation, we do that a lot when I do interviews, and they always ask me, should I be looking at the camera or should I be looking at you? And I always say, this is a conversation and it needs to look natural. So pretend you're talking to someone else on the camera because we have an audience, and you're just distributing the information between myself as the host and the camera, right? So imagine an extra person. You're talking to both of us at the same time. So it really varies on the setup that you have. But yes, look at the camera as much as possible. Talk to your audience directly.
Okay, thank you so much for the valuable information, Nash. Guys, please get in touch with Nash if you want to learn more about body language, facial expression, addiction, and so much more. I have shared her social links here on the chat. And thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being here. Leave in a comment if you have any questions and get in touch with Nash for further information. Final words,
Perfect.
Nash?
Well, thank you very much. I really hope this helps you. I know there's many things coming out every single day and a lot of videos, a lot of competition all over the place. But oh, I'm sorry about that. But but just remember that you are sending a specific message. Your way of sending that message is unique. You, how you speak, how you move, and all that should be very connected to your brand, but to yourself. If you have personal, and I just want to quickly send this message, if you have personal videos or a personal brand, just make sure that you don't go too much out of who you are, because it's very difficult to continue that for years, especially when you start building up that fan base, right? It's hard. So try to be as close as possible to your true self. That'll make it easier. You won't go around hassle and trying to pretend someone you're not and all that. So that's just an extra comment. Thank you very much, Bruno.
Thank you so much, Nash. Thanks so much for the audience. Hope to see all of you really soon. Thank you.